So, Faraway Paladin is a 12-episode isekai anime made by Children's Playground Entertainment. Who the fuck is... That tells us a story of William G. Maryblood and his adventures in a D&D role-playing campaign. Like, seriously, this anime has figured out the typical Western fantasy setting better than most modern Western fantasy does, though knowing that the author of the light novel is a massive tabletop gaming nerd certainly helps explaining it. But I digress. So, the story starts in a city filled with dead things. One day, a little boy appears there for reasons currently unknown, and 3 epic-level undead have to now babysit it. This is pretty much the plot and why the manga was so good to read. The anime isn't that great though, so allow me to explain to you the meaning of this wonderful thing called timing. Time, besides being a cruel bitch, is a great tool for visual storytelling or an adaptation. A lot of the scenes in the book or a manga can and will be trimmed to make sure everything fits in the set time frame of the show. What exactly is getting trimmed is a very subtle and important part of the creative process when making an adaptation. Take Fresh Miyaruko-chan as an example. Besides generally speaking being pretty faithfully adapted, Miyaruko-chan ends on a very good note. It gives a good cliffhanger for the next season and gave every needed character enough development time. Meanwhile, Faraway Paladin feels as if it tries desperately to skip the quote-unquote boring introduction of Will living together with his undead family and go into the cool isekai shit while forgetting that the boring part of the story is the most unique and interesting one and one of the biggest reasons people will probably like the show. And I have a strong feeling that they also knew that, since the show even gives the end titles in episode 5 only to continue on. Though I know this is one of the vaguest terms I throw around in these rambles, it genuinely feels as if the show had some serious budget issues, as having recap episodes in a 12-episode anime is rarely a good sign, and by the end, the show really did feel like they ran out of steam and wanted to end it as fast as possible. Also, to add to the aforementioned rant about adaptations, when adapting something, it's best to have a gander at the source material and understand what scenes are the most key ones, the ones that make the story really good, and try to preserve them as best as you can. Tampering with those scenes rarely works, especially if the rest of the adaptation is more or less faithful. What you'll get is, at best, downplaying the scene and confusing the audience, and at worst you'll remove important character development, making the whole show worse overall. The graphics are on the better side of average, the music is absolutely forgettable, and that pretty much sums up my thoughts on the show in general. It's average. On the better side of average, but average nonetheless. It's a forgettable experience, mired not just by its animation or the pacing, but the overall creative direction it took, a fate that could be avoided by just having a better direction, but alas, this is the result we have to live with, and what can you do with that other than be a pretentious dipshit and advise people just read the books instead? Make a crab salad.